It would be awesome to have an extra hand when I'm making content, but all I've got is these guys. I pretty much shoot all my videos by myself. So I wanted to take a moment here because I know that I'm not the only one out there shooting and creating content all alone, and give you guys a couple tips and nuggets of information about how to make content alone a little bit more smoothly. The number one thing that I recommend everyone do is check your footage regularly. I would even recommend doing a few test shots, which is a pretty standard practice, but make sure you do a few test shots, make sure the lighting looks good, make sure there's no glare on your glasses, there's no boogers on your chin, your hair is all good, and make sure the audio is also working fine before you start recording for a long chunk of time. One of the worst feelings ever when making content alone is that you get to exporting your footage to your computer and you discover that, oops, most of it is unusable, and now you have to either scrap the whole idea or reshoot most of it. Check your footage regularly and even do a test shot or two. I would also recommend every time you change locations to do a test shot as well. My actual content creating best friend is get a nice, sturdy tripod. I'm not saying go spend $1 bazillion, but for the longest time I was using cheap $10, $20 Amazon tripods, and they were fine for using at home when the tripod's not gonna move anywhere. It was also, and now I think is a wrong way to look at it, an okay thing for me to bring when I was doing camping videos because I didn't mind if the tripod got damaged or busted up because it was so cheap. But then I discovered this juicy bad boy. I forget the brand, I believe it's PT. I picked it up on sale at Best Buy maybe 2 years ago, and this has been like literally a world of difference. I thought it was fine to just have any old cheap tripod, but this is a nice aluminum, heavy duty, heavy, and super articulate tripod, and I don't think I'll ever go back to buying cheapy tripods again. I have my old ones, and I still use them when in a pinch, but like this, I could throw it down a bunch of stairs and it would be totally fine. It wouldn't even be dented. It is so much better to look at it like invest in good gear instead of investing in cheap gear that you can throw away, because that's a wasteful mindset. Poo-poo on me, no good. But another really important thing about these fancier tripods is, one, they articulate much better. Like, look at this. You can make this leg go all the way, whatever you want, right? When you're filming alone, you can't just like get your friend to hold the camera like this. You have to use your tripod to get those funky angles or interesting angles or whatever angles you're trying to get. A tripod that can articulate way more is so useful because then you can set it and you can trust it's heavy and sturdy and it'll stay put. The other thing too is I found that those cheaper tripods usually maxed out at like 3-4 feet in height. That's pretty tall, but not always tall enough. This tripod, it of course extends really, really easily all the way, super, super tall. And on top of that, it has a further adjustment. And last but not least, you can take this whole thing out and suddenly you've got a selfie stick. So I would recommend getting one if you shoot alone for all those reasons and more. The next thing I would recommend is getting a remote device for your camera. I'm very fortunate and I use a Sony ZV-1. This is an awesome camera. It's small, it's compact, but it also has lots of points to add additions so you can really customize this thing. And I've got a cool mic, I've got a cage, all these kinds of attachments, but at its base, it's a nice small camera with a flip out screen so I can see what I'm doing. The other thing too is it comes with this app. It is the IEM Imaging Edge tool, and it lets me remotely control my camera from my phone. So it just hooks up from device to device Wi-Fi, and I can go 10 meters-ish, and I can hit record, I can change settings, all this good stuff. I know that if you're on a mobile device, you can get these little Bluetooth buttons on Amazon or wherever. They often come paired as a bundle with tripods, but these buttons are just Bluetooth, and it lets you just click, it activates, takes a picture, starts recording, and it's great for, again, if you're alone, sometimes you're stuck in a corner. I'll show you guys, but I work in a tiny little corner in my home, and sometimes it's just not easy for me to get out of my seat to go to my camera to click the button or change a setting. So with the controller, I can just hit go, stop, and it's easy peasy. While not totally mandatory, it is a major, major quality of life improvement. So I would recommend either having a camera that has the app or getting a controller for your device. The last thing I want to talk about is not gear related. It's actually about the mindset of how to film when you're alone, especially if you're doing something that's scripted. I always like to tell my students and my clients that you want to be a little bit bigger than you think you are. And I don't mean louder, but even if you're not being louder, you want to be bigger in your performance per se, right? In your delivery. Because I find if I've spent a lot of time alone, which I do often when I'm editing my videos, maybe 8-10 hours go by and I don't talk to another soul, I really start to get, ugh. Maybe you've been filming quietly by yourself for, again, who knows how long. It kind of gets disorienting, right? You kind of lose track of time. So when you're on camera, you don't want that sort of mutedness to seep into your performance on camera. You want to be a little bit bigger. Now, I don't mean to say you want to always be big and explosive and crazy doing like karate chops, but you definitely want to film yourself doing a few versions of your lines. You want to get the extreme big version and you want to get the really small muted version. And in that way, it'll help you find that perfect middle, you know, the Goldilocks situation. And I want you to know that it's gonna feel awkward. You have to be able to get over the cringiness because guess what? It's not live. You don't have to post the cringiest version. You get to literally review and edit the footage before you send it out. And there you have my handful of tips to film content alone. Now we're in a world where content creation is totally mainstream. More and more people are doing it and are actually expected to do it. So if you're diving into creating content all by yourself from one lonesome content creator to another, I hope you learned something from watching this video, give you some nice insights, and now it's your turn. Let me know in the comments below. Are you already aware of these strategies? Do you follow these tips yourself? Or do you have any tips of your own that you'd like to share with me? I'd love to know because guess what? Tomorrow I'm filming something else all by myself. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Kenneth. Now go out there and post some content.